Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Learning English Easy channel. Today, we are going to talk about something that many English learners ask me all the time. How can I stop translating in my head? And how can I start thinking directly in English?
Hello everyone, welcome back to Learning English Easy channel.
Maybe this sounds familiar to you. You understand English quite well when you listen or read. You know the grammar rules. You have learned a lot of vocabulary. But the moment you try to speak, everything suddenly feels slow and difficult. You end up translating every single sentence from your own language into English in your head. Does that sound like you?
Oh yeah, that sounds exactly like me.
In this video, I want to explain clearly what thinking in English really means. I'll also share what academic research actually says about it, and most importantly, I'll give you practical, step-by-step ways to train your brain to think in English. At the end, I'll share my own personal experience of learning a second language to fluency and tell you what really helped me the most.
I'm all ears.
So first, let's talk about what thinking in English really means. It doesn't mean you suddenly become a native speaker overnight. What it really means is this: your brain can access English words, phrases, and patterns quickly and automatically without needing to search for them or translate every time. It's all about speed and access. When you translate in your head, your brain actually has to do two separate jobs. First, you think of the complete idea in your own language, then you have to stop and look for the right English words to express that idea. That extra step takes time and mental energy. That's exactly why your speaking feels slow, hesitant, and tiring. Thinking in English means reducing or even removing that extra step. Your brain starts to go directly from the idea to the English words.
Makes total sense.
And this is exactly where scientific research helps us understand what is really happening in the brain. A recent study from 2024 looked specifically at what makes people fluent when they speak a second language. The researchers focused on something called cognitive fluency. In simple terms, they studied how quickly the brain can recognize and retrieve, or bring back, words and phrases in the second language.
Wow, sounds pretty scientific.
Here's what the study found. Some learners mainly use what is called controlled processing. That means their brain slows down every time to search for the right words, check grammar, and make choices. It's like the brain is working hard and thinking carefully about every step. Other learners show more automatic processing. Their brain recognizes words much faster and pulls them out with much less effort. And the key result was this: the learners who had stronger automatic word access were able to speak faster with fewer pauses and hesitations.
So it's not about being smarter, just better trained.
Exactly. The study didn't say these fluent speakers were more intelligent or that they knew way more grammar and vocabulary than others. No, it simply showed that their brains were better trained at accessing English quickly and automatically. So, when we talk about thinking in English, we are really talking about training your brain to find the right English words and phrases without stopping to calculate or translate every single time. Now, why does translation slow you down so much? Let me be clear, translation is not bad at all. It is completely normal, and in the beginning stages of learning, it is actually very useful. It helps you understand and build sentences. But if translation becomes your main strategy even after you have learned a lot of English, then it starts to create problems. Controlled processing uses up a lot more mental energy. That's why your speech might be grammatically correct, but it still sounds slow, hesitant, and a bit unnatural. Fluency gets much better when your brain no longer needs to stop and check every single step. The less you translate, the more natural and flowing your English becomes.
I definitely feel that tiredness sometimes.
When I was learning my second language, German, I did exactly the same thing. In the beginning, I translated every sentence, every thought in my head. I could speak, but it felt really heavy and tiring. I was always a little behind in conversations because I was busy translating. What changed everything for me was not some magic trick or forcing myself to think in German. It was simple repetition and a huge amount of exposure. I spent a lot of time listening to German, podcasts, videos, conversations, hearing the same phrases and patterns again and again. Slowly, I stopped building every sentence word by word from my own language. Instead, I started using ready-made chunks and patterns that I had heard many times. My brain adapted naturally because I was using the language often and in real situations. Nothing was forced, it just happened through consistent practice.
That's inspiring.
Okay, now let's move to the practical part, how you can actually train your brain to think in English. Here are some things that really work. First, work on collocations. Your brain does not like learning long lists of isolated words. It loves predictable patterns. A collocation is a natural combination of words that often go together. For example, we say heavy rain, but we don't usually say big rain. It just doesn't sound right to native ears. Other examples: make a decision, take responsibility, strong coffee, do homework. When you learn these ready-made phrases instead of single words, your brain starts to anticipate what comes next. This makes word retrieval much faster and easier, exactly what the research shows fluent speakers do better. Next, use the shadowing technique. Shadowing is simple but powerful. You listen to English and repeat immediately after the speaker, out loud. No pausing to translate, no analyzing grammar, just listen and repeat right away. This was one of the main techniques I used when learning German, and it really helped me move from slow, controlled processing to faster, more automatic processing.
Sounds like a workout for the brain.
Also, make sure you speak as much as possible every day, even if it's just talking to yourself. Speak with a language partner if you can, or alone in front of the mirror. Speaking, even with some mistakes, forces your brain to find words faster and faster. That repeated practice is what builds real fluency and helps you start thinking in English. Another great way is to use English stories for listening and reading input. This is exactly why we post 2 story videos every month here on Learning English Easy channel. You don't have to understand every single word. In fact, understanding about 60 to 70% is often perfect. It pushes your brain to guess meaning from context, predict what comes next, and connect ideas directly in English instead of translating. You need consistent English input every single day. Even 15 or 20 minutes helps.
I love those story videos.
Finally, be kind to yourself and set a realistic goal. Thinking in English is not like flipping a switch. It is a gradual process. Some days you will still translate a lot, and other days it will feel much easier. That's completely normal. The real goal is not perfection. The goal is less mental effort and more natural flow when you speak.
I'm going to keep that in mind.
So, thinking in English is not a myth. I know it's possible because I now think in my second language without translating most of the time. Research clearly shows that fluency grows when your brain gets faster at accessing words and phrases. If you train that speed through lots of repetition, learning natural patterns like collocations, shadowing, speaking practice, and daily input, your brain will adapt. And one day, you won't be thinking about English at all. You will just be speaking it naturally.
That's the dream.
If this video helped you even a little, please subscribe to Learning English Easy channel and hit the like button so I can keep making more helpful content for you this year.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.
See you in the next video.